Introduction. The Neuroscience of Truth and Lies. Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed colleagues, today, we delve into a subject that bridges the realms of neuroscience, psychology, and even philosophy: the intricate relationship between truth and lies as reflected in the workings of the human brain. In our daily lives, truth and lies are not just abstract concepts, they are experiences deeply embedded in our neurological processes. The ways in which we perceive, process, and ultimately act on information are shaped by the complex interplay of neurons, neurotransmitters, and synaptic connections. These processes determine how we understand the world, form beliefs, and navigate the fine line between reality and deception. At the core of our exploration lies a fundamental question: how does the brain differentiate between truth and lies, and what are the neurological consequences of living in alignment, or out of alignment, with the truth? We will examine how the pursuit of truth, driven by our brain's inherent need for resolution, shapes our mental and physical health. We will also explore the toll that falsehoods, whether they are self-deceptions or lies told to others, take on our neurological well-being. Through this lens, we aim to understand not only the mechanics of truth and lies but also their profound impact on our harmony with the world around us. As we proceed, we will uncover the physiological and psychological mechanisms that govern our interactions with truth and falsehood, revealing how these interactions resonate within the brain and influence our overall sense of harmony, or discord, with the universe itself. What we are describing touches on the fundamental principles of how the brain processes information, particularly in the context of tension and resolution, which could be interpreted as the brain's response to stimuli or problems that need solving. In a biological sense, tension in the brain could be linked to the idea of a neural imbalance, or a state where neurotransmitters are not in equilibrium. When neurons are depolarized, they are in a state of readiness to transmit signals, which creates a kind of tension. This tension represents an unresolved question or an unmet need in the brain's neural network. Resolution, then, is the process of returning to a state of balance or equilibrium, which could occur when a question is answered or a problem is solved. This is akin to the relief of tension we mentioned, when neurotransmitters are reabsorbed or neutralized, and the neural network returns to a stable state. This concept can be extended to the way we experience truth or understanding in a more philosophical or cognitive sense. Question as a polarized puzzle could be thought of as an unresolved piece of information or a question that the brain seeks to match with external data, much like how particles in physics seek a state of lower energy or balance. The resolution of this tension might be analogous to finding truth or understanding, which brings the brain back to a state of cognitive equilibrium. In essence, we are touching on the interplay between biological processes in the brain and how they underlie our experiences of tension and resolution, both on a neural level and in our broader cognitive experiences of understanding and truth. The process of understanding or learning does indeed involve biochemical changes in the brain, particularly through the formation and strengthening of synapses, which are the connections between neurons. When we learn something new or resolve a cognitive tension like understanding a concept or solving a problem, the brain undergoes a process known as synaptic plasticity. This process involves the creation of new synapses and the strengthening or weakening of existing ones. Synaptic plasticity is the foundation of learning and memory. Here's a brief outline of how this works. 1. Neural activation. When we encounter a new idea or experience, certain neurons in the brain are activated. This activation can create a state of tension as the brain works to integrate and understand the new information. 2. Synapse formation and strengthening. As neurons repeatedly fire together in response to a specific stimulus or concept, the synaptic connections between them become stronger, a principle known as Hebbian learning, often summarized as cells that fire together wire together. Over time, these repeated activations lead to the formation of new synapses or the strengthening of existing ones. 3. Biochemical changes. This process involves a variety of biochemical changes within the brain's cells. For example, neurotransmitters like glutamate play a key role in activating receptors on the postsynaptic neuron, which can lead to long-term potentiation (LPP), a lasting increase in signal transmission between two neurons. 4. Structural changes. As synapses strengthen, there can be structural changes in the brain, such as the growth of dendritic spines, small protrusions on a neuron's dendrite that typically receive synaptic inputs. These changes represent the physical basis of learning and memory, essentially, rewiring the brain as we gain new knowledge or understanding. 5. Resolution and stability. Once this new information is integrated, the brain reaches a new state of stability or resolution. The tension that was created by the initial cognitive challenge is relieved, and the new neural pathways that represent this understanding are solidified. This process of synaptic plasticity not only allows us to learn and adapt but also shows that our brains are constantly changing and restructuring themselves in response to our experiences. Understanding is not just a conceptual achievement, but a physical transformation within the brain's neural network. We are describing an intriguing concept that touches on the idea that the brain is inherently wired, or preset, to seek answers, especially when faced with a question or problem. This idea aligns with the notion that our brains are naturally inclined toward curiosity and problem solving, driven by biochemical processes that create a kind of polarization or tension when a question arises. The brain's involuntary pursuit of answers. 1. Biochemical drive for resolution. When the brain encounters a question or an unknown, it generates a kind of neural tension, a state of imbalance that drives the pursuit of an answer. This can be seen as a fundamental survival mechanism. Understanding our environment is crucial for decision-making and adaptation. The brain is set up to reduce this tension by seeking out and processing information that could provide a resolution. 2. Involuntary attraction to answers. The idea that the brain involuntarily attracts answers suggests that our cognitive processes are, in some sense, automatic. When we observe or engage with our environment, the brain subconsciously processes the available information, filtering out irrelevant details and homing in on patterns or data that might resolve the tension. This process happens without conscious effort, driven by underlying neural mechanisms. 3. Observation as a filtering mechanism. By merely observing, the brain starts to organize and interpret sensory input, gradually sifting through the noise to identify what is relevant to the question at hand. This could be related to the brain's pattern recognition capabilities, where it automatically seeks out and recognizes patterns that could lead to an answer. 4. Truth as a result of filtering. As the brain processes information, it filters out false or irrelevant data, gradually converging on what might be considered the truth. This truth, in a sense, emerges from the brain's natural tendency to seek order and understanding from chaos and ambiguity. A cognitive and biochemical process. This entire process could be seen as both cognitive and biochemical. On the one hand, the brain's desire to solve problems and answer questions is a cognitive drive, deeply embedded in how we interact with the world. On the other hand, this drive is powered by biochemical processes, neural circuits, neurotransmitter release, and synaptic plasticity, all working together to guide us toward understanding and truth. In essence, the brain is not a passive organ but an active participant in the pursuit of truth, continuously seeking to resolve the tensions that arise when faced with questions or unknowns. This drive to understand, to reduce uncertainty, is a fundamental aspect of human cognition, intricately linked to both our biology and our consciousness. The truth shall set you free is a profound statement that has been interpreted in many ways across different contexts: philosophical, spiritual, psychological, and even scientific. Philosophical and spiritual context. In many spiritual and philosophical traditions, truth is seen as a liberating force. This phrase often suggests that understanding the truth, whether it be about the nature of reality, oneself, or the world, can lead to enlightenment, clarity, and freedom from ignorance or illusion. It's about breaking free from the constraints of false beliefs, deception, or misunderstanding, allowing one to live more authentically and in alignment with reality. Psychological context. From a psychological perspective, the phrase can also be seen as an encouragement to face uncomfortable or hidden truths. Denying or avoiding the truth about ourselves or our situations can lead to stress, anxiety, and a kind of mental imprisonment. On the other hand, acknowledging and accepting the truth, even if it's difficult, can lead to personal growth, healing, and mental liberation. It's about freeing oneself from the mental and emotional burdens of denial, repression, or self-deception. Scientific and intellectual context. In the realm of science and intellectual inquiry, the pursuit of truth through observation, experimentation, and reason is seen as a way to free ourselves from ignorance and misunderstanding. Knowledge and understanding can empower individuals and societies, enabling them to make better decisions, solve problems, and improve their quality of life. In this sense, truth is not just about facts, but about using those facts to create a more just, fair, and free society. Universal message at its core. The truth shall set you free is a call to seek truth, however it may manifest in one's life, through self-awareness, spiritual insight, intellectual rigor, or ethical living. It's about recognizing that truth, in any form, has the power to liberate us from the constraints that limit our potential and to open up new possibilities for growth, understanding, and freedom. Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed colleagues, I stand before you today to share insights gathered from years of meticulous observation, research, and reflection on human behavior, cognition, and the very nature of truth. The conclusions I've reached are both profound and, I believe, fundamental to understanding the human condition. The inescapable drive toward truth. In my studies, I have observed a consistent pattern across diverse populations and circumstances. Humans are inherently driven toward truth. This drive is not merely a cultural or intellectual construct but a deep-seated biological imperative, hardwired into our neuroarchitecture. Our brains, through complex biochemical processes, are preconfigured to seek out and resolve the tensions that arise from uncertainty, ignorance, or deception. This is not simply a passive inclination but an active, almost involuntary compulsion. When faced with ambiguity, cognitive dissonance, or moral quandaries, our neural networks become polarized. This polarization creates a kind of tension, an internal state of unease that compels us to seek resolution, to find the truth that will bring us back into balance. The neurochemical mechanisms at play at the biochemical level. This process is mediated by the dynamic interplay of neurotransmitters and synaptic plasticity. When we encounter a problem or a question, whether it's as simple as a puzzle or as complex as a moral dilemma, our brains enter a state of heightened activity. Neurons fire, synapses strengthen, and pathways are formed as our minds work tirelessly to reconcile the tension between what is known and what is unknown. This pursuit of truth is not just an intellectual exercise but a fundamental aspect of our survival. It is through understanding and clarity that we navigate the complexities of our environment, make decisions, and ultimately thrive. The brain, in its quest for truth, reshapes itself, forging new connections that reflect the insights we gain. This is the essence of learning, adaptation, and growth. The liberating power of truth. Through these observations, I have come to a resounding conclusion: the truth shall set you free. This phrase, often quoted in philosophical and spiritual contexts, has a basis in scientific reality. When we uncover the truth, whether about ourselves, others, or the world around us, we experience a profound release from the tension that previously bound us. The neural pathways that were once strained by the weight of uncertainty are realigned, and the brain returns to a state of equilibrium. However, the opposite is also true. If we resist the truth, deny it, or bury it beneath layers of self-deception, we suffer. This suffering is not merely metaphorical, it is a tangible burden, a chronic state of tension that manifests in our mental and physical health. The unresolved tension, whether it be cognitive dissonance, moral conflict, or emotional repression, takes a toll on our well-being. It can lead to stress, anxiety, and a host of psychosomatic symptoms, as the brain remains trapped in a state of unresolved tension, unable to find peace. The ethical imperative. Given these insights, there is an ethical imperative for us, both as individuals and as a society, to pursue truth. In our personal lives, in our relationships, in our communities, and in our scientific endeavors, we must strive for honesty, transparency, and understanding. By doing so, we not only liberate ourselves from the burdens of tension and falsehood but also create a foundation for genuine human flourishing. In conclusion, our predisposition toward truth is not merely a philosophical ideal, it is a neurobiological reality. The pursuit of truth, and the liberation it brings, is essential to our health, our happiness, and our humanity. We are, indeed, destined for truth, and in embracing it, we set ourselves free from the burdens that would otherwise bind us. Key points from the discussion. 1. Innate drive toward truth. We are biologically and cognitively predisposed to seek truth. This drive is not learned but is an intrinsic part of our neural architecture. 2. Neurobiological mechanisms. The brain experiences tension when confronted with uncertainty or questions, driving a search for resolution. This process involves neurotransmitters and synaptic plasticity, which leads to the formation and strengthening of neural connections as we approach the truth. 3. The concept of tension and resolution. Tension in the brain occurs when there's a disparity between what is known and what is unknown. The resolution, or discovery of truth, brings about a return to equilibrium, providing cognitive and emotional relief. 4. Truth as a liberating force. The phrase, "The truth shall set you free," is supported by the idea that uncovering truth relieves the brain from tension and stress. Avoiding or denying truth leads to sustained tension, resulting in psychological and physical discomfort. 5. Ethical and practical implications. There is an ethical responsibility, especially among educated and influential individuals, to seek and uphold the truth. Pursuing truth not only benefits personal growth and well-being but also contributes to a more just and enlightened society today. I invite you to explore with me an idea that bridges the gap between neuroscience, psychology, and the fundamental principles of physics: the pursuit of truth as a literal force, an attractive energy that drives human cognition, behavior, and even the physical structure of our brains. Truth as a fundamental force. Imagine truth as a fundamental force, much like gravity or electromagnetism, that exerts an attractive pull on our minds. Just as particles in physics are drawn to each other through forces that govern their interactions, so too are our neurons and cognitive processes drawn toward truth. When we encounter a question, be it a simple curiosity or a profound existential dilemma, our brains enter a state of polarization. This is not merely a metaphorical concept but a literal, measurable shift in neural activity. Neurons fire, neurotransmitters are released, and synaptic pathways are activated, creating a dynamic field of tension. This tension represents the brain's recognition of an imbalance, a gap in knowledge or understanding that demands resolution. The neurobiological mechanics of resolution. This polarized state can be likened to a charged particle in a field, seeking to return to equilibrium. The brain's inherent drive toward resolution, the answer to the question, can be viewed as an attractive force, compelling us toward clarity and understanding. This drive is powered by the brain's neurochemical processes, where neurotransmitters like dopamine play a critical role. Dopamine, often associated with reward and motivation, acts as the brain's currency for truth-seeking, reinforcing the neural pathways that lead to resolution and thereby solidifying the learned truth. As our brains work to resolve this tension, synaptic plasticity comes into play. New synapses are formed, and existing ones are strengthened, much like how physical systems move toward a state of lower energy or higher stability. This restructuring of the brain reflects the integration of new knowledge, embodying the truth within our neural architecture. The truth, therefore, is not just an abstract concept, it is literally encoded in the structure of our minds. Truth as a convergence of forces. To further understand this process, we can draw an analogy from particle physics. In physics, forces such as gravity or electromagnetism govern the behavior of particles, guiding them toward states of stability and order. Similarly, the pursuit of truth can be seen as a guiding force in our cognitive processes, pulling us toward a state of mental equilibrium where the tension between question and answer is resolved. This convergence of forces, neurochemical, cognitive, and existential, creates a trajectory toward truth. It's as if the very fabric of our consciousness is woven with the threads of physics, where questions act as perturbations in a field, and answers represent the energy minima where stability is achieved. The resolution of this tension is not just a cognitive relief but a fundamental realignment of our neural and psychological states, akin to the natural tendencies observed in the physical world. The infinite question yet, Our drive for truth does not end with a single resolution. Just as particles continue to interact and seek new states of stability, so too do we continue to question and explore. The pursuit of truth is, in essence, a pursuit of infinity. Every answered question leads to new inquiries, each generating its own field of tension, drawing us ever further into the exploration of the unknown. This infinite questioning reflects the boundless nature of human curiosity and the limitless potential of our cognitive abilities. It is here that we touch upon the deeper, almost metaphysical dimension of truth-seeking, a journey that mirrors the infinite complexities of the universe itself. Conclusion. In summary, the pursuit of truth can be understood as an intrinsic, attractive force that operates within the neurological and psychological realms, much like the forces that govern physical interactions. This force drives us to resolve tensions, to seek equilibrium, and to continuously rewire our brains in response to the truths we uncover. Ultimately, truth is not just an abstract ideal, it is a literal, physical process, deeply rooted in the principles of particle physics and reflected in the dynamic structures of our minds. As we continue to question and explore, we engage with the infinite, constantly reshaping our understanding and, in doing so, bringing ourselves closer to the ultimate truth that both science and philosophy strive to uncover. This explanation uses the language of physics and neuroscience to create a vivid, integrative image of truth-seeking as a fundamental force, emphasizing the convergence of neurological processes and physical principles. It aims to convey the complexity and power of truth as both a cognitive drive and a universal force. Truth as resonance with the universe. Imagine truth as a frequency, a pure and fundamental vibration that permeates the universe. When we align ourselves with this frequency, when we reflect truth accurately through our thoughts, actions, and beliefs, we enter a state of resonance. In this state, our own vibration harmonizes with that of the universe, and we experience a profound sense of alignment, balance, and peace. Reduce resistance and energy flow in this harmonious state. The resistance that we typically feel, whether in the form of cognitive dissonance, emotional turmoil, or physical stress, diminishes. When we are out of sync with the truth, our thoughts and actions create friction, much like interference patterns that distort a pure signal. This friction manifests as tension, conflict, and discomfort, both within ourselves and in our interactions with the world. However, when we reflect truth accurately, this resistance is minimized. Energy flows through us more freely, unobstructed by the distortions of falsehood or self-deception. In this state of resonance, we become more in tune with the natural rhythms and patterns of life. Our decisions are clearer, our relationships more authentic, and our overall sense of well-being is enhanced. We are, in essence, in harmony with the fundamental truths that govern existence. Harmony with everything. This state of resonance is not just an abstract or mystical concept. It can be understood in terms of the principles of physics and biology. Just as two resonating systems can amplify each other's vibrations, aligning with truth amplifies our capacity to understand and interact with the world in meaningful ways. We become more effective, more perceptive, and more connected to the larger systems of which we are a part. In this harmonious state, we experience what might be described as flow, a state of effortless action where our abilities and the challenges we face are perfectly matched. This is not just a psychological state but a reflection of our deep alignment with the truth, where our actions resonate with the universal principles of order, balance, and coherence. Conclusion. In conclusion, when we reflect truth through our lives, we align ourselves with a fundamental frequency that resonates with the universe. This resonance reduces resistance, allowing energy to flow through us more freely and harmoniously. By being in tune with the truth, we find ourselves in harmony with everything around us, experiencing a state of balance, clarity, and peace that transcends the ordinary struggles of life. This concept, though rooted in deep philosophical and spiritual traditions, finds echoes in the sciences of physics and biology, where resonance, harmony, and flow are recognized as key principles of natural systems. By striving to live in truth, we not only enhance our personal well-being but also contribute to the greater harmony of the universe itself. Now we will engage in questions and answers so that we could potentially address questions that need further clarification. Q1. How does the brain distinguish between truth and lies? 1. The brain processes truth and lies through different neurological pathways. When we encounter truthful information, our brains experience a form of cognitive resonance. Neurons fire in patterns that align with existing knowledge, creating a sense of coherence and balance. In contrast, when we process lies, the brain experiences cognitive dissonance, a tension between what we know to be true and the false information. This dissonance activates areas of the brain associated with conflict and stress, such as the anterior cingulate cortex, and requires more cognitive resources to reconcile or dismiss the inconsistency. Q2. What are the neurological consequences of consistently lying, either to oneself or others? 2. Consistently lying can have significant neurological and psychological consequences. Over time, the brain becomes accustomed to the dissonance that lies create, potentially dulling the emotional responses associated with dishonesty. This can lead to a form of desensitization, where the amygdala, responsible for emotional responses, becomes less reactive to the stress of lying. However, this doesn't eliminate the underlying tension. Rather, it can contribute to chronic stress, anxiety, and even physical health problems, as the brain and body remain in a state of unresolved conflict. Q3. How does the concept of truth as a resonance or frequency align with established neurological principles? 3. The concept of truth as a resonance or frequency aligns with neurological principles in that it reflects the brain's preference for coherence and stability. When the brain encounters truth, neural pathways align in a way that reduces cognitive load, similar to how resonant frequencies in physics amplify and reinforce each other. This state of cognitive resonance allows for efficient processing of information, leading to feelings of clarity and harmony. Conversely, when the brain encounters lies, the resulting dissonance disrupts this resonance, requiring additional cognitive resources to manage the inconsistency. Q4. Can living in alignment with the truth improve mental health, and if so, how? 4. Yes, living in alignment with the truth can significantly improve mental health. When individuals consistently engage with truth, they experience less cognitive dissonance, reducing the mental and emotional strain associated with conflict and dishonesty. This alignment promotes a state of neurocoherence, where thoughts, emotions, and actions are in harmony, leading to a more stable and positive psychological state. This can result in lower stress levels, improved emotional regulation, and a stronger sense of well-being. Q5. How do cultural and societal factors influence our perception of truth and lies? 5. Cultural and societal factors play a significant role in shaping our perception of truth and lies. Different cultures prioritize truth in various ways, and societal norms can influence what is considered truthful or deceptive. For example, in some cultures, preserving social harmony may be valued over blunt honesty, leading to different interpretations of what constitutes a lie. These cultural influences affect how the brain processes truth and lies, as they shape the cognitive frameworks through which we interpret information. Q6. What are the ethical implications of understanding truth and lies from a neurological perspective? 6. Understanding truth and lies from a neurological perspective has profound ethical implications. If we recognize that the brain is biologically predisposed to seek truth and that living in alignment with truth promotes mental health, there is a moral imperative to foster environments that support truth-seeking behaviors. This includes promoting education, critical thinking, and open discourse. Conversely, environments that encourage or tolerate dishonesty can have detrimental effects on individuals' neurological and psychological well-being, raising ethical concerns about the societal impact of misinformation and deception. Q7. How does the brain's pursuit of truth relate to the broader concept of harmony with the universe? 7. The brain's pursuit of truth can be seen as a quest for resonance or harmony with the universe. When we align ourselves with truth, our neurological processes reflect a state of balance and coherence, mirroring the physical principles of resonance observed in nature. This alignment reduces cognitive resistance, allowing energy, both mental and emotional, to flow more freely. In this state, we experience a sense of harmony not only within ourselves but also with the external world, as our actions and beliefs resonate with fundamental truths of existence. Q8. Can we overcome the brain's tendency to resist uncomfortable truths, and if so, how? 8. Overcoming the brain's tendency to resist uncomfortable truths requires deliberate cognitive and emotional strategies. One effective approach is developing self-awareness and mindfulness, which help individuals recognize when they are avoiding or distorting reality. Cognitive behavioral techniques can also be used to challenge and reframe false beliefs, reducing the cognitive dissonance that fuels resistance. Additionally, creating a supportive environment where truth is valued and difficult conversations are encouraged can help individuals confront and accept uncomfortable truths, ultimately leading to personal growth and a more aligned state of being. Q9. How does truth-seeking in the brain relate to problem-solving and decision-making? 9. Truth-seeking is integral to effective problem-solving and decision-making. When the brain is presented with a problem, it enters a state of tension, seeking out the truth that will resolve the uncertainty. This process involves critical thinking, analysis, and the integration of new information. As the brain aligns with the correct solution or truth, cognitive load decreases, leading to clearer, more confident decision-making. This process underscores the importance of accuracy and truth in navigating complex situations, as it directly impacts our ability to resolve issues and make informed choices. Q10. How does modern technology, particularly social media, impact our brain's relationship with truth and lies? 10. Modern technology, especially social media, significantly impacts our brain's relationship with truth and lies. The rapid dissemination of information, coupled with the prevalence of misinformation, can overwhelm our cognitive processes, making it harder to discern truth from falsehood. The brain's natural tendency to seek coherence and resolve cognitive dissonance is challenged by the constant influx of conflicting information. Social media also tends to amplify confirmation biases, as algorithms often expose users to information that reinforces their existing beliefs, further complicating the pursuit of truth. This environment can lead to increased cognitive strain and confusion, highlighting the need for digital literacy and critical thinking skills in the digital age. Thank you, and I hope you have a clearer picture of the brain's struggle to reconcile the truth in our neurofield. Stay honest and stay healthy.